The End of Alzheimer's Program by Dale E. Bredesen, M.D. Picture a woman named Claudia. At 78 years old, she'd vanished into the thick fog of severe Alzheimer's disease. The world she once knew had dissolved into a confusing blur. Her words had disappeared, shrunk down to the occasional yes or no. She couldn't dress herself, couldn't manage her own care, and the simple pleasure of riding her bicycle had become nothing more than a ghost of memory. On a standard cognitive test, where a healthy brain scores close to 30, Claudia scored 0. To everyone watching, especially the conventional medical world, her story seemed already written. Just another tragic but familiar tale of unstoppable decline, a one-way road with no turning back. But then something remarkable happened. A physician, armed with a completely fresh understanding of Alzheimer's, looked past the diagnosis and asked something different. Not, what disease does she have, but why does she have it? Her evaluation uncovered a hidden hurricane of problems no one had bothered to address: insulin resistance and, most critically, exposure to toxic poisons from mold. Claudia started a personalized program, not some miracle pill, but a complete protocol designed to tackle every single thing attacking her brain. Over the next 4 months, the fog started lifting. Slowly at first, then with stunning clarity, Claudia came back. She began speaking again, then sending emails. She started dressing herself, riding her bicycle, and even dancing with her husband. One evening her husband wrote, "Tonight we went for a nice walk and she thanked me." She pointed out a number of things, including the pink-lit clouds caused by the setting sun, and she said, "It seems to me that I'm going to be all right and that I'm going to be able to enjoy things again." This isn't a fairy tale. It's proof of a revolution in how we understand brain health, a revolution led by Dr. Dale Bredesen, author of the End of Alzheimer's Program. For decades, Dr. Bredesen, an internationally recognized expert in brain diseases, dedicated his life to cracking the Alzheimer's puzzle. What he discovered is that we've been looking at this disease completely wrong. In this powerful book, he reveals that Alzheimer's isn't some single, mysterious illness waiting for a magic bullet cure. Instead, it's your brain's protective response to multiple attacks. And because it has many causes, it demands many treatments. A silver buckshot approach that can not only prevent cognitive decline, but, for the first time in history, has been shown to actually reverse it. So what I'm offering you today isn't just a book summary. It's a journey into a new world of possibility. By the time we're finished, you'll understand the true nature of Alzheimer's disease, and you'll hold the keys to protecting your own brain for a lifetime. You'll discover that this disease, which has cast a shadow of fear over entire generations, can and should become rare. For over a century, Alzheimer's disease has been one of medicine's greatest villains. It's been painted as a thief in the night, a mysterious fog that rolls over your mind and steals your most precious memories, your personality, your very essence. The conventional medical world has treated it like a simple infection, like pneumonia, where you find one single cause, a bacterium, and blast it with one single weapon, like penicillin. This silver bullet philosophy has created a graveyard of over 400 failed clinical drug trials. Billions of dollars spent hunting for that one magic pill to destroy the enemy, a sticky plaque in the brain called amyloid. But every single attempt has crashed and burned. The drugs, at best, offer tiny, temporary relief from symptoms without ever changing the relentless march of the disease. It's like taking your car to a mechanic because it's running poorly, and the mechanic says, yes, I see this all the time. It's called car not working syndrome. There's no known cause and no cure. Your car is going to die. You'd think that was ridiculous. You'd expect the mechanic to run diagnostics, look under the hood, find out why the car isn't working. Is it the battery, the spark plugs, the fuel line? This is exactly the paradigm shift Dr. Bredesen introduces. He argues that we must stop slapping simple diagnoses on the brain and start asking why. What he discovered over 30 years of laboratory research is that Alzheimer's isn't a single disease at all. It's a protective, yet ultimately destructive downsizing program launched by the brain itself. Imagine your brain is a country called My Brainistan, and you're its president. When times are good, when the treasury overflows with nutrients, hormones, and growth factors, when there are no invading pathogens sparking inflammation and no toxins poisoning the land, you give the order to build. You strengthen infrastructure, forge new connections, expand the network. Your nation thrives. In your brain, this is managed by a remarkable molecular switch called the amyloid precursor protein, or APP. When everything's running smoothly, this protein gets cut at one specific spot, creating two fragments that signal growth and maintenance. This is called synaptoblastic signaling. It builds the very connections, or synapses, that form your memories. But now imagine a second term as president, and things have gone sideways. The treasury is running dry on essential supplies. Invaders are storming the borders. Pollution is overwhelming the system. You can no longer afford to build. You have to pull back, downsize, defend what's left. You launch a scorched earth retreat to protect the capital. This is exactly what happens in the brain leading up to Alzheimer's. When facing these attacks, the APP switch flips. It gets cut at 3 different spots, producing 4 different fragments, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, as Dr. Bredesen calls them. These fragments signal retreat. This is synaptoclastic signaling. It actively tears down and removes synapses to conserve resources. And what about that infamous amyloid plaque, the supposed villain of this story for so long? Turns out amyloid is one of the key defensive weapons your brain deploys. It's like napalm. It's an antimicrobial peptide that kills invading pathogens like bacteria and fungi, and it binds to and locks away toxins like heavy metals. The problem is, this defensive weapon causes massive collateral damage, helping destroy the very synapses it's trying to protect. So Alzheimer's disease isn't some mysterious attack. It's your brain's programmed protective response to a set of specific threats. The cognitive decline we see is the result of this long-term, scorched earth retreat. It's like having 36 holes in your roof. A single drug is like trying to patch one hole while rain keeps pouring through the other 35. The only way to fix the problem is to identify and patch every single hole. Dr. Bredesen's research has pinpointed the major categories of these threats, which he classifies into different types of Alzheimer's disease. Most people have a combination, but usually 1 or 2 dominate. Type 1 is inflammatory, or hot, Alzheimer's. This is driven by chronic inflammation. The source could be anywhere in your body: a leaky gut, poor dental health with chronic gum disease, or hidden infections from things like tick bites or viruses. This inflammation keeps sending danger signals to your brain, holding it in defensive downsizing mode. Type 2 is atrophic, or cold Alzheimer's. This type comes from a withdrawal of supportive molecules. Just like a plant withers without water and sunlight, your brain withers without optimal levels of nutrients, like vitamin D and B12, hormones, like estrogen and testosterone, and crucial brain growth factors. Your brain simply doesn't have the resources to maintain its 500 trillion synaptic connections. Type 1.5 is glycotoxic, or sweet Alzheimer's. This is driven by high blood sugar and insulin resistance. You may have heard Alzheimer's called type 3 diabetes, and this is exactly why. When your body is constantly flooded with sugar, your cells become numb to the hormone insulin. Insulin isn't just for sugar metabolism. In the brain, it's a critical growth factor that helps keep neurons alive. When your brain becomes insulin resistant, it's losing a vital supportive signal, pushing it toward downsizing. Type 3 is toxic, or vile, Alzheimer's. This is caused by exposure to toxins. These can be heavy metals, like mercury from dental fillings or contaminated fish, organic chemicals from air pollution or household products, or, most insidiously, biotoxins, poisons produced by molds growing in water-damaged buildings. The brain produces amyloid to bind and neutralize these poisons, But again, this defensive action comes at a terrible price. There are also type 4 vascular, related to poor blood flow to the brain, and type 5 traumatic, related to head injuries. Overlaying all of this is our genetics. The most common genetic risk factor for Alzheimer's is a gene called ApoE4. About a quarter of the population carries at least one copy of this gene. To understand its effect, Dr. Bredesen returns to his my Brainistan analogy. If you don't carry the ApoE4 gene, you're the ruler of South my Brainistan. Your country has invested its resources in research, development, and longevity. You're metabolically efficient, but more vulnerable to invaders. If you carry the ApoE4 gene, you're the ruler of North my Brainistan. You've invested heavily in defense. Your inflammatory response is swift and powerful, making you more resistant to parasites and infections. This was a huge advantage for our ancient ancestors. But in our modern world, this tendency toward a strong inflammatory response puts you at higher risk for chronic inflammatory conditions, like heart disease and Alzheimer's. Your brain is quicker to go on the defensive and launch that downsizing program. So, with this new understanding that Alzheimer's is a multifactorial protective retreat, the solution becomes crystal clear. It's not a silver bullet. It's silver buckshot. We must identify every single contributor for a given person and systematically address each one. This is the foundation of the ReCODE protocol for reversal of cognitive decline. The entire program is built on a specific diet and lifestyle called Keto Flex 12/3. Let's break down what that means. Keto refers to ketosis. One of the earliest changes in a brain developing Alzheimer's is a reduced ability to use glucose, its primary fuel. This energy gap can exist for a decade or more before symptoms appear. Ketones, which your body produces when it burns fat for fuel, provide a crucial alternative energy source that can bridge this gap and literally feed a starving brain. Flex refers to two things. First, metabolic flexibility, the ability to efficiently switch between burning carbs and burning fat. Second, it refers to a flexitarian approach. The diet is heavily plant-based, but allows flexibility to include high-quality animal protein if you choose. And 12/3 refers to the daily fasting window, a fast of at least 12 hours overnight, with your last meal at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. This foundation is designed to target the root causes of cognitive decline. It creates insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, provides fuel for the brain, and promotes a vital cellular cleanup process called autophagy. To visualize the diet, Dr. Bredesen flips the old food pyramid on its head. The old pyramid, which told us to eat 6 to 11 servings of bread, pasta, and cereal, turned out to be a recipe for obesity, diabetes, and, tragically, cognitive decline. The new brain food pyramid is built for optimal brain function. The very foundation of the pyramid, the most important part, isn't even a food, it's fasting. That 12-hour overnight window and 3 hours before bed is when your body cleans house. When you stop eating, you give your digestive system a rest and trigger autophagy, where your cells recycle old, damaged components. This process is essential for clearing out the toxic debris that piles up in the brain. The next level up combines non-starchy vegetables and healthy fats. This is the core of what you'll eat. We're talking about a rainbow of vegetables, deeply colored leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and alliums like garlic and onions. You should aim for 6 to 9 cups a day, and you indulge freely in healthy fats, which are critical for brain structure and for producing those vital ketones. This means generous amounts of high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. Above that is prebiotics, resistant starch, and probiotics. This level is all about upgrading your gut. Your gut is your second brain, and an unhealthy gut microbiome is a major source of inflammation. Prebiotics from foods like jicama, leeks, and asparagus are the food for your good gut bacteria. Resistant starches found in things like cooked and cooled sweet potatoes or green bananas also feed the microbiome without spiking your blood sugar. And probiotics from fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi help repopulate your gut with beneficial microbes. Next is animal protein and fruit. If you choose to eat animal protein, think of it as a condiment, not the main event. Focus on the cleanest sources, like wild-caught, low-mercury smash fish, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines and herring, and pastured eggs. These are loaded with the brain-building fats, DHA, and choline. For fruit, stick to small amounts of low-glycemic options like berries, which are packed with neuroprotective antioxidants. And at the very top of the pyramid are the indulgences or risky business. This includes small amounts of high cacao, 85% or more dark chocolate, a tiny bit of natural sweeteners like stevia if needed, and very limited, if any, alcohol. Just as important as what's in the pyramid is what's left out. The first step is to put out the fire by eliminating the three main inflammatory triggers: simple carbohydrates and sugar, all grains, especially those containing gluten, and conventional dairy. These foods fuel insulin resistance and gut inflammation, throwing gasoline on the fire you're trying to put out. Beyond the KetoFlex 12/3 foundation, the protocol includes several other non-negotiable lifestyle pillars. Exercise. Your body was designed to move. Exercise is one of the most powerful things you can do for your brain. It increases blood flow, improves insulin sensitivity, and, crucially, boosts a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which acts like fertilizer for your brain cells, helping them grow and form new connections. A combination of aerobic exercise like brisk walking or cycling and strength training is ideal. Sleep. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's a biological necessity. During deep sleep, your brain undergoes a nightly wash cycle. A remarkable waste clearance system called the glymphatic system becomes 10 times more active, flushing out metabolic debris, including amyloid. Getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night is critical. A huge and often missed contributor to cognitive decline is sleep apnea, a condition where you repeatedly stop breathing at night, starving your brain of oxygen. Dr. Bredesen insists that everyone with or at risk for cognitive decline be checked for this. Stress reduction. Chronic stress floods your body with the hormone cortisol, which is toxic to your brain's memory center. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, yoga, or simply spending time in nature can lower stress and protect your brain from this constant assault. Brain stimulation. The brain thrives on novelty and challenge. This concept, known as neuroplasticity, means your brain can continue to grow and form new connections throughout your life. Engaging in activities that challenge your mind, learning a new language, playing a musical instrument, or using brain training programs like Brain HQ helps build what's called cognitive reserve, a buffer that makes your brain more resilient to damage. Oral health. The mouth is a gateway for inflammation. Chronic gum disease is caused by specific bacteria, like P. gingivalis, that have been found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Old mercury amalgam fillings can also be a source of chronic, heavy metal toxicity. A healthy mouth is a critical part of a healthy brain. Detoxification. We are, as Dr. Bredesen puts it, swimming daily in an Alzheimer's bouillabaisse. We're exposed to a constant barrage of toxins, dementogens, that cause dementia. These can be metals, chemicals in our air and water, and biotoxins from mold. Supporting your body's natural detoxification systems through hydration, sweating like in a sauna, and eating detoxifying foods like cruciferous vegetables is essential to reduce your toxic burden. The final piece of the puzzle is supplementation. While diet and lifestyle are the foundation, targeted supplements are used to patch the specific holes identified in your personal biochemistry. If your homocysteine is high, you'll use B vitamins. If you have inflammation, you might use curcumin and omega-3s. If you need trophic support, you might use whole coffee fruit extract to boost BDNF. These aren't random guesses. They're precise interventions based on your lab results. The entire journey begins with what Dr. Bredesen calls a cognoscopy, a comprehensive evaluation of your blood work, genetics, and cognitive function to identify your unique set of contributors. This gives you your personalized roadmap. This approach isn't a passive one where you take a pill and hope for the best. It's an active, engaged program where you become the chief investigator of your own health. It requires effort, commitment, and a willingness to change. But as the stories of Claudia, Nina, and hundreds of others now show, the reward is something once considered impossible: the chance to reclaim your mind and rewrite your future. What strikes me most profoundly about the End of Alzheimer's program isn't just the science, which is groundbreaking, but the fundamental message of hope and empowerment it delivers. For generations, Alzheimer's has been wrapped in a sense of doom. It was something that happened to you, an unavoidable fate sealed by age or genetics. Dr. Bredesen tears down that entire story. He hands the power back to us. The single most powerful idea in this book is reframing Alzheimer's not as a disease, but as a response. The idea that amyloid, the long-blamed villain, is actually a protective molecule is a stunning revelation. It tells us that the brain isn't failing, it's fighting. It's doing its best to protect itself from a barrage of modern attacks: our sugary diets, our chronic stress, our toxic environments, our lack of sleep. Our job, then, isn't to attack the brain's defense mechanisms with a drug, but to remove the threats so the brain can stop fighting and start rebuilding. This changes everything. It transforms the patient from a helpless victim into an active player in their own recovery. It shifts the focus of medicine from managing symptoms to addressing root causes. This isn't just a new way to treat Alzheimer's. It's a new way to think about chronic disease altogether. For someone young, like yourself, the message is even more urgent and optimistic. The processes that lead to Alzheimer's begin decades before the first symptom ever shows up. This isn't a book about old age. It's a book about living your entire life in a way that builds a resilient, thriving brain. The side effects of this program aren't risks and warnings, but rather increased energy, better mood, a healthier weight, and a reduced risk of nearly every other chronic disease of aging. You don't have to wait until you're 45 to get a cognoscopy. You can start building your cognitive reserve right now. The choices you make today, at the dinner table, in the gym, when you decide to turn off your screen and go to sleep, are laying the foundation for your brain health for the next 70 years. If I were to distill this profound book into a few simple actions you can take today, they would be these. First, drastically reduce your intake of sugar and processed foods. Think of sugar as an inflammatory agent for your brain. By cutting it out, you're taking the single most powerful step toward becoming insulin sensitive and protecting your neural connections. Second, prioritize sleep. Make getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep a non-negotiable part of your life. It's during sleep that your brain cleans, repairs, and consolidates memories. It's the foundation on which all other health benefits are built. Third, move your body every single day. You don't have to become a marathon runner. A brisk walk, a game of basketball, dancing, anything that gets your heart rate up, feeds your brain with oxygen, blood flow, and that wonderful growth factor, BDNF. And finally, never stop learning. Challenge your brain, pick up an instrument, learn a language, read difficult books. A mind that's constantly engaged is a mind that's constantly building, growing, and fortifying itself against the inevitable challenges of time. This book represents the triumph of 21st century medicine. It moves away from the simplistic, one-size-fits-all model of the past and embraces a personalized, systems-based approach that honors the incredible complexity of the human body. It tells us we're not destined to decline. We have a choice. That was a deep dive into the End of Alzheimer's program by Dr. Dale Bredesen. We've explored the revolutionary idea that cognitive decline isn't an inevitable fate, but a condition we can actively fight and even reverse. But I'll be honest with you, a summary, no matter how detailed, can only scratch the surface. The real power of this book lies in the depth of its details, the specific protocols, and the profound sense of hope that builds with every page. This summary is your map, designed to show you if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've discussed today has sparked a sense of curiosity or a desire for change, I urge you to grab a copy. Reading isn't just about absorbing information. It's about arming yourself with the knowledge to protect your most valuable asset, your mind. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable on your quest for knowledge, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the Billionaire's Bookshelf. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's continue to build our minds and our futures together.